Hi, and welcome to the Sports Innovation Lab's Sports Zone, a CES partner program presented by Octagon. I'm so happy to be joining you here today. Of course, it's virtual, but we're all doing what we can to stay on top of trends in the market. So I'm super excited. If you don't know who I am, I'm Angela Ruggiero, the CEO and co-founder of Sports Innovation Lab, joined today by my co-founder and the current president of Sports Innovation Lab, Josh Walker. This is actually the fourth year that we've partnered with CES to produce the Sports Zone, something I'm incredibly proud of because we've always thought about the consumer, the fan, and through our partnership with CES, have been able to unlock and share the insights on that research with the broader industry. If you haven't heard about Sports Innovation Lab, our mission is to empower sports brands to create breakthrough fan experiences through technology. So at our heart, we're a research and strategy company that's preparing the industry to really understand the fan. We call them the fluid fan, the future fan. The fan is here. They do things differently. We study that and really help the industry understand that behavior in order to make the right technology decisions. So we're here at the largest tech conference in the world, really focusing on the sports industry. We work across properties ranging from the NFL, the NHL, UFC, all the way to the technology giants and startups like Google and Intel and Facebook. We're here for everyone. So I'm excited you're going to get to hear about our research and what we think or where we think the industry is headed through our conversation today. So want to turn it over to Josh to give us a little bit of insight into what to expect from today. He leads our strategy, our all everything around our research, and is obsessed with the data tools and products and services that we are developing to better service the industry. Josh, tell us what's going on today.
Well, I'll tell you what's not going on. I don't hear any slot machines in the background, so I know we're not in Vegas, but it is good to be here with you all in year 4 of the Sports Zone and our sports tech conference. Because I'm looking at the agenda, Angela, and what we've put together, I think, for the next few hours here is going to be really important. This past year in 2020, we've talked about sports being under a hiatus. It's taken a pause. It's taken a massive hit from not being able to have live audiences in the venue. But what we've put together is really a strategy for how sports comes back, how we recover, where the resurgence comes from. You'll hear today, and I'm just looking at the agenda, global media companies, properties, betting properties, agencies, and vendors, and they're going to cover everything from like connectivity to trends in betting to things that are happening in the venue. And we're going to highlight things that are happening across the entire sports ecosystem when it comes to women's sports, diversity and inclusion. There's a lot of topics that I think are very relevant for where we are as an industry. So really encourage everybody to stick around. But perhaps the thing that you and I are most excited about is the unveil of our annual report. We do this every year at CES. So this is important for us every year to set the tone for what we care about next year. And next year, it's all about innovation. And we're going to, for the first time, name the top 25 most innovative teams in the world. We're publishing that report. And that report will highlight how these teams will set the pace for the rest of the industry and how we come back. And it is not going to be a big surprise that the key to that is data. And I think you and I are going to talk quite a bit about that this morning.
Yeah, so great panels lined up for you, our viewers. Definitely biased. Our panel that you're going to lead, Josh, on the top 25 most innovative teams in sport will come up shortly. It's something we've been obsessed with from day one. Really focused our research team on the data again, so we could provide this report to the industry in a way that was as objective as possible, not based on opinion, not based on press releases, but really on what the industry is doing. And so I'm excited to unveil that on your panel, Josh, and to have some really interesting conversations around those teams and what those properties are doing to thrive now and post pandemic.
Yeah, I think one of the things you said to me very early on when we were starting the company was you were tired of being asked to judge these different contests, like who's the most innovative brand or who's the most innovative team. And you would get into these rooms because you're a celebrity and you'd be sitting around with all these other thought leaders in the industry. And it was a popularity contest, or it was like, who knew the most about something or somebody. And that's how the industry picked who were the beacons, who were the North Stars for the industry. This report and the use of data has been at the core of the Sports Innovation Lab since day one. And we finally feel like this methodology is solid enough to put out what we believe are going to be the top 25 teams in the industry.
All right, so stick around to hear the top 25 teams. Core to that, as we've talked about, we wanted this to be a data-driven report because that's what we talk about every single day. The industry needs to operate more like a data platform, not just even a media platform. Sports should be data. That's our top trend for 2021. We'll unveil it. We need to really understand our consumer, understand our fan. We've been talking about that, Josh, for the last 4 years. Tell me a little bit about that. You come from the research industry. You've built several venture-backed data businesses. It's in our blood at Sports Innovation Lab, but now we're really asking the industry to use data to understand their fans, to understand the growth opportunity. Kick us off with just why data? Why is that so important? And get us past kind of the buzzwords that we typically hear when we hear data. It's scary for some.
Well, I think it is scary for some, but I think what we started this company believing was that the industry was a laggard when it came to technology. More specifically, the industry is a laggard when it comes to data. And it took us a number of years to really figure that out because there is a sex and a glitz and a speed to sports that makes it look very tech driven. But when you peel back the curtain, there's not a lot of data behind this business. When you look at what's in the CRM systems of a lot of teams and brands who run large sponsorships in this industry, there's not a lot of information on what those consumers do. And often they struggle to figure out even who those consumers are. And through our leadership board, through the work that we've done over the years with executives in this space, the recurring sort of message to us was, we don't even know who our fans are. And I just remember being like so stunned at how little there was to understand what personalized experiences these fans wanted, how often they came to games, who they came to games with, what they were watching or doing on their second screen. And the industry turned to us and said, well, what questions should we be asking? Where should we get this data? And unfortunately, the industry's pretty much been beholden to third-party data sources.
Yeah.
The Facebooks, the Twitters, buying that data, either trying to supplement it with Ticketmaster data or some other source. It's been very challenging for the industry.
But we're here at the Consumer Electronics Show, CES, the largest conference in the world. They're all about the consumer, the fan. That's why I love that we're unveiling this at this conference, because if you don't know your consumer, and I've heard a statistic, you don't know 90, even if you have a great CRM, you still don't know 90% of your fans. They're these fluid fans that sit outside of even your hardcore, diehard fans that have given you their email or somehow ended up in your CRM system. That broader question you said that we've heard over and over, who is my fan? What do I do to empower them, to monetize them? It's shocking that
It's shocking, but it also holds you back. And we know that data can be used strategically in a number of ways. One is customer intelligence. We know that by building affinity models, calling a fan a diehard fan or a casual fan, or those are great buckets to generalize fans, but it doesn't help you really understand what products and services to develop. It certainly doesn't.
Customer intelligence.
Yeah, you need customer intelligence.
Number one.
The other thing you need is competitive analysis.
Yep.
Right? You need to know who you're competing with. And it's become cliche and it's a tired expression in our industry where, people say, well, we're competing with Netflix now. you're not just competing with
Mhm.
Netflix, you're competing with Roblox, you're competing with Fortnite, you're competing with Call of Duty, you're competing with the WWE, you're competing with Manchester United. You're competing with international global entertainment opportunities that are actually more interesting or more exciting than what you're putting on the court or on the
Which
ice
is
or on the
very
field.
different, came out in our fluid fan research. This competitive analysis, when you've had a monopoly for so long because you're the only local team, or you could command the attention of the demographic in your local area. Now we're global. So that competitive analysis extends not just globally, but throughout the entertainment ecosystem. So you need to understand that, right? Through
You,
data.
you need to understand that from a consumer perspective, but you also need to understand what are those other teams, properties, media companies doing or not. So data
Mhm.
can also be used for competitive analysis in terms of understanding vendor selection.
Mm.
If you know who your competitors are and they're doing a better job of executing and winning the consumer you care about, then we can also map using our data which of these companies are servicing those teams, those media companies, those venues, and we can say this is their technology footprint. So if you think they're out executing you, go work with the same companies they work with. Why try to guess? Why spend all your time spinning your wheels about who to work with? If you think somebody else is doing a better job than you, go replicate what they're doing. And this
Mhm.
industry is not afraid to copycat, but they want to be really confident that they're making the right decisions. Data helps you make that.
Yep. So vendor selection, pivotally important, especially as we see a lot more of technology coming into sports, as we see it professionalizing, a lot of private equity, SPAC dollars coming in.
Mhm.
Vendor selection, make sure you get the best ROI on the investments that you're making. Pivotally important. Data helps with that. What's one of the last ways that you think data really helps this industry and we should be considering?
Probably internal consensus, right? Getting your team to focus on the right goals and creating milestones and benchmarks for your organization. So, setting aside sort of what you're doing externally, looking at partners, competitive analysis, doing your fan stuff, the data that you can collect now can really tell you whether or not the product, services, and organization that you're building is keeping pace with the industry. So, I really look at some of the data that we're able to analyze and say for most organizations this is valuable to help them steer their organization going forward. So benchmarking is a really important tool, and you have to have data to inform your benchmarks, your milestones, and your metrics.
So customer intelligence, competitive analysis, I heard vendor selection
Mhm.
and benchmarking are all ways that the sports industry could benefit from more data and the analysis that goes with that. We've, again, I think, talked about, Josh, that this industry for so long considered itself an events business.
Mhm.
Um, we're going to put on an event, we go pull the flags down, we go on to the next one. And I hear a lot of people talking about, no, we're actually a media business. Suddenly I hear, oh, we're a media business, we're a media platform. We're saying absolutely, but take it one step further. The sports industry should be a
Well, it's
clean me
certainly a
up.
sport. It's a sports media and entertainment business, and the things you just touched on are really challenging, right?
Yeah. We're a data business at the
Yeah,
end of
if
the
you're
day.
if you're a media business, you're collecting media. If
Yeah.
you're an event business, you're collecting event and gate revenue and ticketing and stuff. But what you just touched on is we're a data business.
Hmm.
If you don't have a data business, you can't merge event viewership, off-field consumer merchandise data. You need to have all of that in one place. So yeah, I think it's more accurate to say, the next revelation for this industry is that they're not a media business. They're actually a data business, and they have a really unique opportunity to collect first party data from the fans because they have a unique relationship with the fans. If it's consent that they're looking for,
Hmm.
share your data with me because I'm a Jets fan, I'm a
Hmm.
Yankees fan, I'm a Mets fan. We should be asking for that data and we should be using it more strategically.
So that will be something Sports Innovation Lab does. It is our focus in 2021, taking all of our fluid fan research over the last 4 years, applying that now to quantifying it and servicing the industry to better understand their consumer, better understand their fan. We know there's a lot of services out there that do this, and a lot of what we'll talk about in your panel, the top 25 teams in sports, do this well. They understand the power of knowing their consumer and acting accordingly. So, any closing remarks before we kick off the official show?
No, I think that's exactly where we need to be heading as an industry. It's not about collecting more data, it's knowing what questions to ask of it. And we'll cover that in my talk later with some of the most innovative teams in the world.
All right, stay tuned. We've got a great lineup for everyone. Thanks for being a part of the CES Sports Zone. We are proud again to host this and love having Octagon involved as well. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Bye, everybody.